Hi everyone, and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday episode. Today we're going to be painting this beautiful cabin in the woods under the Northern Lights painting, so grab your paper, your brushes, and your colors and let's get started. So I opted to tape the borders of my painting using Scotch tape just because I like a really clean and crisp look. You can skip this step if you don't have Scotch tape or don't want to do that. And then we're going to start off by painting the background of this painting, since that is the backbone of this painting and what makes it so beautiful. So you're going to basically dip your brush in water, and that's where you're going to paint the middle of the northern light. And then you're just going to grab some very light blue, very watered down baby blue watercolor, and then fade the water into that baby blue, and then progressively get darker with your blues the further away from the center of the northern light that you get. And this part, at least the first couple of layers, are going to look quite messy, but that is okay because you are going to be painting many layers until you achieve the desired opacity of your painting. I think I ended up painting 4, maybe even 5 layers, so don't be discouraged if the first few don't look very opaque or bright, or they just look messy because your gradient isn't as fluid. That is okay. You can just keep adding layer upon layer until you are happy with it. So one trick that I do want to share with you in terms of how to create a really fluid transition between the shades of blue is definitely the angle that you are holding your brush. So if you're painting the left side of the northern light, then you want to angle your brush to the left. So you can basically do both sides if you're more comfortable painting with the brush facing the left side. If you simply just flip your piece of paper over once you're done with one side, and then the right side will basically become your left side. Here you can see me trying to paint with my brush angled to the right, but then I ended up switching back, angling it to the left, and you can see the difference in the gradient between the two sides. The right side looks really blotchy, and that's because I wasn't angling my brush towards the correct direction. And you'll see this fixed later on. I also added some black in the furthest part from the northern light, and this is because I wanted the blue to really pop. So once I let that black dry, I did another layer, and this time the blue had sort of a dark background to really pop from. And you can choose to do the same. It just makes the layering much easier, and you just don't have to layer as much because you already have a dark background to layer your colors over. Don't forget to cover your entire paper with each layer, because if you leave any parts unpainted, you will basically create a cauliflower effect and ruin your painting, so you definitely don't want to do that. While your background is still wet, you're going to flick some white acrylic paper all over the sky, and this is because we want that acrylic paint to bleed out and sort of fade into the paper, and you'll know the reason for that in a second. And once it is completely dry after that, you're going to repeat that same process, flicking more acrylic paint on, but this time, because the acrylic paint is dry, it's just going to create this beautiful illusion of stars over the sky. And then, because some stars are naturally bigger and brighter than others, you're going to very subtly fill in those spread out blotches of acrylic paint, and they will have this really light halo around them and give that illusion that there are bigger and brighter stars in the sky. Once your background is completely dry, you are going to begin the fun part, in my opinion, and that is painting a beautiful cabin in the woods where you just want to get lost in and you want to live there. I mean, at least I do. So I started off by painting a little ground, and this is because we don't want the cabin to look like it's floating in outer space. So I just used black to create a little bit of a ground there, and then I painted on my cabin. So I wanted my cabin to look 3D, so if you also want yours to look 3D, just reference some real cabin photos on Google, and you can pencil in a rough outline of your cabin first before you paint it. But the key is to leave these thin white spaces between each wall of your cabin. This will make it look more 3D. You can even make it look even more realistic by shading some portions of your cabin darker than others. So naturally, the side that is facing the viewer is going to be a little bit darker because the northern lights are on the opposite side of the cabin. Of course, you cannot forget those beautiful pine trees that we classically think of in the wilderness. This really reminds me of this Swedish girl that I watch on YouTube who lives in northern Sweden in a beautiful little house in the Swedish wilderness, and it just looks exactly like this. She takes pictures in the winter of the northern lights sort of seem to fade into her house, and this painting definitely takes me back to the beautiful and stunning photos that she takes. It makes me want to just teleport into this painting, into that cabin that I painted, and live there by myself forever. I just want to take this opportunity to ask you guys to subscribe to my channel if you are enjoying this video. I do release 2 videos every single week, including tutorials like this one, as well as Sketchbook Sundays where I chat about random topics while painting a painting in my sketchbook. Also, please hit the like button on this video if you're enjoying it. It helps me grow my channel, especially since I'm a smaller YouTuber compared to many other artists. I would be very appreciative. Once you are completely happy with your beautiful painting, don't forget to peel off the tape from the borders if you opted to do that in the beginning, and you will reveal a beautiful painting underneath. Thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.